iCloud. Excellent. Mr. Yazbek, are you back from your vacation, or are you tuning in from the beach?
Yes, sir. I'm back.
Yeah. Are you all suntanned and smell like copper tone? And did you braid your hair?
Huh?
Did you braid your hair like people do?
And add some beads to it?
Yeah, don't you go to the beach and braid your hair and then get that massive sunburned scalp? That,
right. I got like the cornrows or whatever. Yeah, like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I'm not turning the video on.
Okay, well, there's a lot of people happy about that. Even if you hadn't been to the beach, we're happy about that. So, all right. Hey, Mr. Corner, how are you doing, sir? Good. Nice to see you, Godfather. You've already been skiing, so aren't you cool? Vail opened on Wednesday. Unmute yourself so we can hear you. I don't even hear you typing like there's a bunch of horses in your office. Robert, you're still muted. I want to hear about your skiing. Hey, Shelps.
Hi.
All right. So we have Telluride in the house, Karen and Jeannie, and we have Sharon Pace Ward. Steamboat, we have Bozeman is here, I see. We have Grand Junction, we have Montrose, and I think I'm the only loser from Sun Valley. So, all right, just have to deal with that. So, a couple things before we get started on the Transaction Coordination Fan Club. I just wanted to remind everybody that Wednesday was the launch of Kingston Lane, and if you're scratching your head about that, you got an email last week about the launch. We spoke with the owner for about an hour, and he was great. It's a fantastic tool that will allow you, if you put some time to it, will allow you to reach more people more easily. So think of it this way, folks. I'm going to give you two metaphors because here I am, an English major, and I'm reading a really good book right now, so I'm just overloaded with metaphors right now. We bought the cover charge for the year to this really awesome club. Okay, the club is called Kingston Lane. You can get in as much as you want on our dime for the next 12 months. Now, once you're in the club, you got to buy your drinks on your dime, but we got you into the club. And it's a super cool club. They play the best music. They've got the tools they have in there are really, really slick. I encourage you to watch that video if you haven't already. Each tool has a little button that you can push to tell you what it does and why you should use it. You can spend $50 on this thing. You can spend $100. You don't ever have to use it. You should get about a daily email from them telling you something cool about real estate. So we bought you the cover charge. I hope you at least give it a shot. Instead of maybe spending your $100 this month on Facebook Boost, maybe think about doing something from Kingston Lane. Because it is a super slick, super efficient, low maintenance tool for you to use to get leads. And leads aren't the name of the game in real estate. I know everybody thinks they are. They're not, I don't think. Just a second, Robert, I'll answer your question. But they certainly do help. Robert asked a question which came up a few times after Wednesday. What password do we use? I've seen two different interfaces with the Kingston Lane welcome screen. One just said enter a password, and I just put in what I always used, confirmed it, and I was good to go. If you have to enter an email first and then a password, the workaround has been just create new password or send in a password reset, and it'll get you in. Okay, so there's been two different types of interfaces. And since we're not doing fan club about Kingston Lane today, I don't want to take much more time other than get in there, practice it, mess around, see what they've got. Our Friday the 30th fan club will be all about Kingston Lane. We don't have one next week, of course, because it's Thanksgiving. So in 2 weeks, we will revisit Kingston Lane with some of the folks from there, talk about best practices, what's worked for you, what challenges have you had, so on and so forth. If in the meantime you're trying to do something, you have challenges, Kingston Lane's really clear about go to them. Go to them with your questions. Okay, Steve at kingstonlane.com. He'll answer. He's the president, and yet he is there online. I email and it's like within 3 minutes I get a response. It's usually shut up and leave me alone, but that's just me. You guys are agents. You guys are actually going to make them money. I'm just a low person on the ladder. Okay, second thing, we had 4 really good closings over the week. I'm going to start posting these on our Facebook Inside Track because I think it's great when anyone does over a $500,000 deal. I think it's worth shouting out. Doesn't matter what market you're in, whatever. Bird Nelson was in the $700,000 with a closing this week. Mark Wingirter had 2, and I know he's on a team, so you can give high fives to your team, Mark, but he had 2 in the 6. Keith, whoa. This is fan club, not freak me out club, okay? Mark Wingirter had 2 closings in the $600,000 range last week, which is awesome. Great job. He's our sales manager in Grand Junction, so doing double duty there. And then just Wednesday, I think, Chrissy Gove here in Sun Valley closed something in the 2.3 range, which is her 4th closing over $1 million this year. So she's having a great luxury space year. So nice job, everybody. It was a pretty quiet week, all told. Not a surprise that we're going into Thanksgiving. But anyway, let's see. From Jess to everyone. For Kingston Lane, I said forgot password, and they emailed me a link to set one. So Jess, thank you for that. That's the workaround if you're not getting in. Just send them, just said forgot password, and they'll email you a new link. Okay? All right. Those are the things I wanted to cover, and now I will take a breath. We are so, Shawnee's been our agent services director, coordinator, whatever, however you want to think about it, for the last couple of months, really tying up and dialing in our systems from marketing, and the referrals are going gangbusters. And the other thing under her purview is the transaction coordination, which we've rolled out, I think, a couple times now. It's had some, hey, we're here, and then it's had some like, don't bother us now. But look at Shawnee. She's there. She's full of confidence. This program is designed, folks, to let you get something under contract or get something listed and then take the burden off of you, let you go do more real estate while Dana and Rocky and Miranda and the team get things done with your transactions. That's about all I know, so I'm going to stop talking, believe it or not now, and turn it over to Shawnee and Dana. Shawnee, of course, is in our Grand Junction office. Dana is in the Montrose office, but that shouldn't deter you from using her if you're in any of the other offices or transaction coordination, because they know all the systems in all 3 states. So I will let Shawnee take over now, and you do whatever you need to there. And thanks for being on the call, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. So I would like to introduce our transaction coordinator. She is in-house. She is exclusive to CBDP, and she works for all of the offices. I've had the pleasure of working with her for a couple months now, and she is amazing, you guys. She has really, really taken this program and this services that we offer to you guys and just ran with it. So a little bit about her. She brings several years of real estate experience as her role in transaction coordinator to CBDP. She has 4 years of real estate experience at another company. We won't mention which company that one is, but this red. She has actually been a licensed agent as well for 2+ years. Her license is inactive in order for her to fulfill this position. We don't have our TCs be licensed. I'll go into that a little bit later. But she's been an office manager, a compliance coordinator. She's onboarded agents at the other company for nearly 4+ years. So she is rocking it. She is really, really good at what she does. She works out of our Montrose office, so she's based out of there. She's in the office every day, and she is fantastic. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to present a slide with you guys. Can you give me a thumbs up, Derek, if you can see? Distinct to transaction coordination?
2 thumbs up.
All right. Dana, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, so what I do is save agents time, essentially. It's estimated that a transaction coordinator spends about 12.5 hours per file to get the file complete. So that's 12.5 hours that you don't have to spend on your file. And as this says, it reduces stress because paperwork is very stressful for certain agents. Navigating IQ can be stressful, chasing signatures from your clients. So I will do all of that for you so that you can focus on sales and making your clients happy. So I can do listing files and under contract files. So from a listing file, I can initiate the initial listing into the MLS system, and then the agent would make it go live. I can coordinate the photos, get those all arranged for you. I get your forms out of CTME or Form Simplicity and put those into IQ also. Coordinating with clients, title, lenders, all the people involved in the transaction. Just to take a little bit off of your guys' plate. And IQ, most importantly, from start to finish, so you basically don't have to touch IQ the entire time during your transaction, which is a huge time-saving and stress-reducing option for you. Keeping track of deadlines, and again, chasing signatures when needed. I will keep track of people sign stuff, don't sign stuff, if we have it on time, and make sure that your file is complete so you get paid on time.
Can I interrupt for just a second? So great introduction here, and I want to make sure everybody knows what platform and program we're talking about. So this is the listing transaction coordination, which is a service you purchase. Correct, Shani? This is the purchased service.
Correct.
And you can purchase this at the time of you getting a listing. You can purchase this at the time of getting your listing under contract. You can purchase this at the time of getting a buyer under contract. So all of these things that Dana is talking about started, I think it's 175?
175, correct.
175. And I know all of a sudden you're like, okay, that's $200, but 12.5 hours at minimum to do all of this stuff. If you do that math, that's about $13 an hour or so that you probably would pay $30 an hour out on the open market to get this done. 12 and a half hours where you're doing your thing and not all this, because I know from the Sun Valley office, this is what makes you pull your hair out. So just keep in mind, this is the elevated service that we would offer for $175, and you can purchase it at any time in the life of your listing or your buyer contract. So I just want to make sure we were clear that this isn't just what we do for every transaction, because that's not
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. So similar with an under contract, when you fill out your under contract form, and we'll get to that in a minute, is when you would order this service, or anytime in between, if you feel like you can start it and it gets overwhelming, you can just reach out to me and then I can take it over. Even if you didn't fill it out on the under contract or new listing form, we can still get it done for you. So similar process with the under contract, taking it from start to finish, coordinating with title, getting your title commitments ordered for you. I can set up inspections, all of that for you as well. So mainly keeping track of your paperwork and communicating with you and your clients and all of the third-party affiliates that need to be communicated with. And making sure you're ready to close. That's the most important thing. You don't want to have to go to closing and get more signatures or anything like that to delay your commission payment. So I will make sure it's all completed and ready to go for you. And as Derek said, it is $175 per listing or under contract. If you have a listing and then you also get that listing under contract and you represent the buyer as well, then it would be $250 for a double-sided transaction. And one change that we're making is a 50% deposit. So half of your payment will be due at the time that you order, and that'll be put on your office invoice. And then the remaining balance, the other 50%, will be taken out of your commission payment.
So that's a change, guys, that we've made. You'll no longer be billed for the deposit and then the additional amount on your office invoice. The remaining balance is going to come out of each closing. So it's going to come out as an agent, as a fee. And then that way it's not, you know, at the end of the month, you've ordered coordination for 10 of your files and you've got a hefty office bill. This way it's going to be taken out of each one. It's easier for the agents to, you know, just wipe that transaction clean. You've got it done, it's out of the way, and it's already paid for. So we're really excited to be able to offer that change for you guys on each additional one.
So how to order, Shawnee, do you want to do that or do you want me to do that?
I can do that, sure. So we've changed a little bit as well. So what now when you're ordering your transaction coordination, when you go to your new listing form or your under contract form, it's going to ask for your email address, and then the very next question is if you would like to order coordination. If you select yes, all you need to do is click on that link. That link is going to take you to the transaction coordination order form, where it's going to ask you for less questions. You don't have to fill in the MLS number, all of the information that you normally would have had to fill out on the new listing form. Once you've said, yes, I want to go ahead and order this, you put in your email address, your name, which office you are, and then the property address, which service you would like to order, and it's going to notify Dana that you've requested transaction coordination. From then, she can reach out to you and get all the information as far as the MLS number, who the agents are on the transaction, your buyer-seller name, and she will put that into IQ Office for you. So it's one less step for you guys. You don't need to get through the entire form and then order it at the very bottom. Now it's right at the top, sends you to another page to just say that, yes, I do want to order it, what office you're from, and then it goes straight to Dana. So it'll simplify our end of it as well, and it's less kind of work at the beginning that you guys have to do. There's two ways that you can do this. You can also get to this form from the new listing and under contract form. I've also added a quick link to IQ Office in the top right corner where you would normally go to fill out this document. Right at the bottom, you're going to see transaction coordination order form. So you can either go either way, but this way is a way that agents that were going into the new listing form and under contract form to begin with, all you got to do is just enter, click on that link. And then here's our contact information. So if you have any questions at any time, you can always reach out to myself, or if you've got questions directly related to transaction coordination, there is Dana's contact information as well. This PowerPoint will be available to you guys. Derek's going to send out the deck after we get done with this call.
The deck.
The deck. And then I'm going to go over where you can find the, we've got some different flyers for you guys too. So we've got the listing flyer that kind of tells everything that we do on it. It's got the billing or the payment and everything on there for the listing side and also the under contract side. All of these have now been uploaded into IQ Office. If you go to our little file cabinet, documents library, you scroll down to transaction coordination, you're going to see all of the PDF versions. This PowerPoint is in there. Our company policy, which I'll cover here in just a minute, is in there. And then also we've got just a basic kind of coordination flyer. Office managers, these are really good for you. If you see an agent in your office that would benefit from this, this is where you're going to find that information too.
So those are just informational flyers. That's not, you don't do any ordering or anything, but if you want to know what
Nope.
it is, it's all here.
Yep. So when you want to order it, you can click on this link. Two different ways. Like I said, you can go to your regular listing form, and once you hit yes, you can just click yes and then instantly go to that link, and it's going to take you directly to the order form.
That's awesome.
The other way, if you want to bypass that, you go right to that, scroll down to the bottom, and the same way. So the two different ways that you can get, either way is going to get us to the same form. Whichever way you're familiar with and you're comfortable with, it's going to get that information over to us.
Excellent. So one of the things that I've heard come up before from several offices is, okay, you've hired this service. Who is in touch with my client? Is it?
That's going to be up to the agent. So as the agent that you're ordering this, if you want Dana to reach out to your clients, if you are comfortable with her reaching out to, you know, the title company, scheduling the closing and such, she can do that for you. We've got some agents that like that. We've got some agents that like her just to do the IQ Office and making sure that, you know, they're staying on top of the deadlines and the paperwork side of things, and she doesn't have any interaction with the client. So it really is based on, you know, as the agent, what your preference is.
And that happens in an email communication or whatever between Dana and the agent. That doesn't get filled in somewhere like
Nope.
just okay.
Yep, Dana will reach out and kind of get all those specifics with you guys.
Okay, so agents, and can you stop sharing for a second, Shawnee?
Yes, let me just cover the company policy real quick.
Great. Sorry.
No worries. So for CBDP, our company policy states that the TC is not licensed and under any circumstances will not fill out, sign, adjust contracts or documents in any transaction for any agent. Yes, Dana is a licensed agent. Her license is inactive for this position. So she can look over deadlines. She can, remind you of signatures, but at any time she's not required or allowed to make any of those amend and extends or any kind of contractual obligations whatsoever. That's my disclaimer. I will stop sharing now.
That's great, and that's really important to keep in mind, everybody, that hiring the services, I don't want to demean anything that they're doing, but they're not an assistant to you. They're not going to go out and fix things in your forms or your contracts for you. They're just taking care of the paperwork once you've done your job as the agent. So that's really important. Please don't lean on any of this service to fill out forms or get contracts, amend contracts, things like that. So the other piece I want to say about when you hire this service, especially if like you're in Idaho and you've hired this, make sure your clients know that they're likely to get contacted by your assistant, you can call them whatever, our transaction coordinator, and she's got a 970 number. So please make sure you take that call, or don't be concerned when you get a phone call from an out of state area code or whatever. Just if you hire this service, prep your clients so they're not feeling like, hey, why am I not talking to you? Why am I talking to someone I've never heard of before? It's up to you. It's incumbent on the agent, I think, to prepare your client to know that call is coming from a different person in those emails. Am I close on that?
You're correct. Absolutely. And also, when Dana calls, she's very professional. She'll represent herself as working with, Robert Yazbek, So, it's like she'll have that introduction as well and that kind of teamwork there. But yes, please, as the agent, you will want to let your clients know that somebody will be calling on behalf of you or that, they're working on your file.
Yeah. The best policy in any dealing, but with this one, is no surprises. Right? If I'm a client and I get a call from Dana and she says, hey, I'm working with Robert Yazbek, and Robert Yazbek didn't tell me that, I'm going to be like, wait, I'm just going to have that moment. And you don't want those moments. So make sure that you grease the rails for the transaction coordination folks so that there's no awkwardness for them, you, or your client.
What kind of questions do you guys have? We want to open it up to Q&A. Anybody have questions?
I got a couple questions. What is the, you mentioned phone calls a lot, but what's kind of the preferred method of contact, between Dana and the client? Does she email mostly versus calls? Or does she call a lot, or how's it go in a perfect world?
I usually email, but that's up to the client on how they like to be contacted.
Right. And so what does your email signature look like? Is it, do you make it, specific for each agent, or is it, TC for Coldwell Banker?
It's TC for Coldwell Banker, and I do an introduction email saying who I am and that I'm working with you on a certain file for the specific address, and that I might be contacting them throughout the transaction.
Perfect. Okay, thanks.
What else is on anyone's mind about how this works, or when you should use it? Should I use it? Can this be used on vacant land, commercial? I'm curious about these things.
Let's say if we just got a listing and we've worked on all of the marketing stuff, do you work with those pieces or initiating or anything like that before we get something under contract? Like with a seller?
For the listing side of things, Robert, she would be responsible for like the documents of it. She wouldn't coordinate marketing material or anything like that.
Okay, okay. Even if
so she wouldn't order a marketing package or do any type of marketing. It would be strictly on the contract compliance side of things. She would be uploading your listing docs, making sure a lot of your documents are signed and ready to go when you do get that buyer or that home under contract.
Yeah, so this is truly back-end support service as opposed to marketing, which you could think of as front-end because it's the promotional and exposure piece of it. So this is all behind the office door, let's say.
Sorry, Shani, I have a question.
Sure.
It's Jess here. Hey, so now that we're not using the DORA Real Estate Commission checklist, is there a really easy or an easy way to just figure out what sold the last week for our weekly updates?
For your weekly updates, you would want to, I'll show you a report out of IQ Office.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll call you after this one. I'll show you what we use.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay.
Does this work for land? I mean, why not? But does it work for vacant land?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yep. Everything,
Excellent.
for sure.
Okay.
Is that Dennis behind you, Dana?
Yeah, he has a comment. He said,
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
On behalf of Dana, I would like to say that she's a previously licensed active real estate agent, knows exactly what we as brokers and salespeople have gone through with customers, and she does a very professional job about that, as well as she's knowledgeable about what we're dealing with clients, buyers and sellers. So it's worth every dime that you, as an agent, would pay to have our coordinators, transaction coordinators, working with buyers and sellers. So I highly support this position.
And I'll tell you, Dennis is not a brand new agent. He's been in the game a while. He was the owner of the company before Distinctive Properties, so he knows a few things. That's a pretty high recommendation, Dana. You've obviously done some good work, which is great to hear.
Yeah, she pays me big time to say that.
Yeah.
For 30-some years, I've always had assistants taking care of my business. Now that I'm a productive broker again, I appreciate more what my assistants have done for me in the past, and it saves tons of time. I've had to try to learn a new dentist, and I find with Dana that it just makes my job so much easier that I can literally go back out in the marketplace and find other buyers and other sellers. Of course, I'm not that active anymore, but I mean, believe me, it's a value, big value.
That's great. What a great testimonial. Thank you, Dennis. Can we make sure everybody heard, because it might have been skimmed over really quickly, about the timing of this? I know agents work 7 days a week and then weekends too. I've heard it all before, whatever you know. But data and transaction coordination is a 5-day-a-week job, 8 to 5. Okay, so what you can't expect is responsiveness on a Saturday morning or a Sunday afternoon or whatever. Okay, and I would really, really ask everyone to not be like, well, I'm hired it, so here's Sunday afternoon. I need this done by this evening. There are those of us that have like the Monday to Friday 8 to 5 jobs, and this is one of them. So make sure as you're calculating all this stuff that you're putting that into your calculations as well, because obviously we want to serve agents. That's what all of us in agent services and in leadership are here to do. But it has to be there has to be some parameters on that. So just please be aware of that Monday to Friday 8 to 5 thing.
yes, thank you.
Yes. Thanks, Derek.
So what about on the listing side? If I'm understanding correctly, it's the same price whether it's a listing or just an under contract, but the listing carries through the contract as well? Or is there a different price if you're doing the listing versus just the under contract?
Price if you have both sides of the deal.
I didn't hear that.
If you just represent one side, then it's $175.
Regardless if it's a seller all the way from the start of the listing or a buyer just from the under contract point?
Yep.
Correct.
And
So that 175 on a listing takes it from your listing contract to closing. If you're just representing the seller, if you're representing both sides, then it's 250.
Okay.
If you recall, sorry.
Go ahead.
when we introduced this a year and a half ago or so, we had 3 levels, and we're trying to cut down on the noise. I don't mean to speak for you, Shawnee, but like, this is the service.
please.
It does it soup to nuts, nuts to bolts, whatever, and this is it, right? You don't get different levels, and I think that is so much cleaner and easier for me to just think, okay, I'm doing this, click the button. I don't have to look at different options. So I really like the streamlining of it, and I think it covers, as Dennis just said. I mean, Dana and the transaction coordination team they know what they're supposed to be doing. They've been in these roles before, so it covers everything you need it to cover.
So on the listing side, where it says execute draft of initial listing and changes in MLS, how complete is that? I mean, what's included and what's not there in the listing input into MLS? That's a big task.
Yeah.
So I have access to all the MLS systems in our company. And so I would log on and input your listing just as you do, organize your photos. So you have to send me all of that information, obviously, and then you would review it and make the listing go live.
So you're saying everything, like you're going to write some kind of remarks, figure out all the HOA
No, Robert,
information,
you would need to,
all of that.
for the remarks, you would need to provide you would need to provide that material for her. She's not gonna, get the assessor's records or, or that type of information. She can execute the initial draft of it in there, but I mean, you would definitely have to give her that information.
Okay. So
You would have to give her, like your ad copy. I mean, essentially your ad copy.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
What else do you need to provide besides the remarks and the photos?
What's that?
What?
I'm just trying to get clear on it, because that's a big task. Is there anything else we would provide besides the photos and the remarks?
I mean, you would need to provide measurements. You would need to provide the, HOA information. So, I mean, she's going to do the data entry for you, but you would need to give her that information in order for her to put it in.
Okay, so I'm pulling the county record. I'm pulling the HOA stuff and all that, giving it to her to then type in. She's not going out and finding that stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
And then as Dana said, and this is a really important point, maybe she can, but she will not make it go live. She'll contact the agent, say it's incomplete, it's inactive, it's sitting there, you have to make it go live, because that really should be on the agent to make sure you review it all. There's no way transaction coordination is going to have the responsibility of making something go live if there's an error in there that the agent didn't catch.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely. So the other thing I'm curious about on the listing side is the biweekly reports. You got web hits, showing feedback, URL for property, video link of listing. Will you include any marketing stuff in there, like the marketing plan, what has been done in those reports, or is it specific to just those 6 items?
That's just going to be specific to those items. She can email it to you, or you can send it directly to the seller and add to it, but she's not going to relay all of that information. She can pull the records from IQ Office and from ListTrack and give you that data, but it would still be up to you to get your marketing plan and what you've done marketing-wise to help, sell that listing.
Okay.
Dana, do you use ListTrack or ListHub or IQO? We've got, in my knowledge base, we have 3 different reporting platforms we can use. Is there one you're using?
There's not at the moment, and so that kind of goes back to individual agents want me to do different things than another agent, so I have not been doing that for any of my listings quite yet, but I can use any platform that the agent is accustomed to.
Okay. And if you go into CB Exchange, and I don't want to get in the weeds here, but ListHub still lives. I thought it was dying, but it's still there, and it's a reporting feature. ListTrack also lives in CB Exchange. It looks different, but it does the same thing. And IQO, if you go on your listings, you can go to reports and run reports too. So there are 3 ways for you to gather website information, hits, all that stuff, even without using Dana. If you just wanted your own stuff and would send it to your seller, there are 3 places to do that, and I suppose we could revisit that at some point soon, so everybody knows how to get those tools into your toolbox.
Right, and all of that information lives, you know, in IQ Office, or like Derek said, in CV Exchange. All Dana is doing is compiling that into one, you know, email for you. So it's not anything in addition. It's all the single listing website, the property video, all of those are already in IQ Office. She's just making it a little bit easier for you to get that information to your seller.
Excellent. ¿Qué más, people? What else?
And think of this like that you guys can use now. I mean, use it during the holidays. You can spend more time with your family. Don't just use it when you get slammed and you've got, you know, 5 or 10 contracts that you need help with. I mean, utilize it. Get to know Dana. Look, you know, get to see how she works with your clients and you. And it's a really big value that we are, you know, presenting to you guys. And she's excellent at it.
Yeah, and I know some agents are like, forget that, Shawnee. The whole Thanksgiving, I can say, no, I got to go to work and not spend time with my family, man. That's my out.
Well, we just took that away.
Yeah, but that's a great point. Is you know, I'm not ever going to tell anyone how to spend their money, but use her on one. You know, don't dump 5 on her at once without vetting the system and seeing how it feels. But use it on one that isn't going to take a ton of work, but you just want to see how it feels and works, and then you might have a lifelong relationship with this, or you might decide, no, it's not for me, but try it. And as Dennis said, I'll reiterate, he's sold and he's been doing this a long time, so that's a pretty good testimony.
Yep. Anything else?
Well, keep in mind, this is still a contact sport. And we as agents have to stay in touch with our sellers and buyers. We can't dump all that responsibility on somebody else. It's our responsibility, and that's very, very important for them.
That's so awesome. I love that line, Dennis. Real estate is a contact sport. It's one of my favorite lines. I don't know when you first heard it. I heard it last year from Jill Hickson, and it is great. So even if you're using this, it's still all about you. The whole point of this is to make you look better, agents. Not only to the client you're working with, but when you put this stuff in Transaction Coordination's lap, you can go look better to more people that matter, and not your desk and not all the paperwork that drives you nuts. So, yeah, there's so many upshots to this, I think.
So just a clarification on the charge, 50% billed up front. I assume that's non-refundable. What about the 50% due at the time of the closing?
Correct. The 50% due up front is non-refundable. So if you get in and it's 2 weeks and either your buyer cancels or your listing cancels on you, that 50% is still payable. If you get to, 3 days before closing, then the other 50% is not, you're not going to be billed for it. It's only going to be billed upon a complete closing. So, you're pretty much at a win-win regardless. You know, you're going to pay 50% up front for it, but she's doing all of the legwork on it as well.
Is there a deadline when I can't buy this? I'm just picturing, like, my hair's on fire. I had 8 deals happen all of a sudden, and one of them's closing in 3 days. Can I buy it? Can I buy Transaction Coordination with, I don't know. I'm just trying to worst case scenario this.
You can. You know, Dana was able to come in and help one of our agents that was in a bind. She got handed a ton of transactions, and she was able to get them through. They were at all different stages throughout the file. So, definitely, you can use Dana for, if it's 3 days before closing and you're scrambling, reach out to her. She's here to help you guys.
Dana, I didn't see you nod your head yet. Yes, okay. That could be a tough situation.
Except on Saturday and Sunday.
That's right.
Well, I just closed something this morning, but I think I'll just take care of all that stuff.
Yeah, probably a little late.
Closing too, so.
Yeah. Nice job, Robert. That's a good way to get into Thanksgiving. Carla has a great contribution in the chat. She says, great service. Thank you, ladies. amen, all our staff needs their weekends, in reference to what I was talking about the time. So thank you for that, Carla. Is there anything else, folks, that you need to know about the transaction coordination? We're losing Shelby's attention. Anytime that happens, we know we need to wrap it up. Okay, well, Dana and Shawnee, thanks so much for your expertise. And let me just, Adam's giving you a hand. And he's a musician.
I know, thanks, Adam.
He knows a thing or two about applause. Let me just reiterate what the next couple weeks look like, okay? All of the offices are closed Thursday and Friday, including transaction coordination, agent services, banks, et cetera. So make sure you've got that in your purview, or in your window. No fan club next Friday. Next fan club, the 30th, will be about Kingston Lane. I encourage you to get in there and try it out, or just mess around and feel what the interface is like. And we will talk about best practices and things we learned in the first 2 weeks of Kingston Lane on the 30th. Okay. Last thing I'll say is that we're almost ready to present our 2019 business plan to agents. So if you've been waiting for that, because I think we were a little earlier last year, we're trying to tweak a couple things and make it more CBDP based. We're almost there. So probably at some point next week, you'll all be getting that if you haven't done it already. So that should be coming. Okay, so appreciate your patience on that. All I want is for everybody to have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, and just take time to your family and send out something to your clients. Touch them somehow about the holiday. Give them something of value so they know you're still in business and doing your thing. It's a great time to do that. All right, Adam, thank you. Thanks so much, Dana.
Thank you guys very much.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Holiday, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.